Hello and welcome to FPL Mate, your best mate for fantasy Premier League content for the 2022-23 season. My name is Dan and we have got just about enough time for one more video before the deadline. Didn't do a tier list video earlier on in the week, so I thought we'd sneak one in today on deadline day. And we're going to rank some players that I think a lot of you guys are talking about and interested in this FPL Gameweek 20, the double game week. So if you do enjoy this video, please do leave a like, please do subscribe if you're new around here. But without further ado guys, let's have a look at the tier list. Alright guys, so as always, we've got a load of players. We need to stick them on this tier list. I picked out the most popular transfers in. So these are the most popular players that a lot of people are bringing into their FPL teams right now. And we're going to categorize them based on how good I think they are for a transfer for this game week. So we're going to start off with the 30th most popular and work our way up to the first most popular player in the game right now. And we're going to start off with Trent Alexander-Arnold. And it's 2023 and people are still buying Liverpool defenders for some reason. So he's going to go straight in a void. That's a pretty easy one there. So let's stick him straight in there. And I'm also going to put Højbjerg in the avoid section as well. We're going to whiz through some of these first ones that aren't too interesting, I don't think. But Højbjerg, I know people want to get in on him for the double game week. But typically, he's not a player who is too attacking in general. Spurs, you only really want to go for Harry Kane. You can maybe consider Heung-min Son as a real differential. But it seems to be the Harry Kane show at Spurs. Anyone else aside from that for the double game week, I don't really fancy too much. So we're going to put him in avoid. Same with Casemiro. What are you guys thinking? Who are the people buying in Casemiro? I don't get it. Yes, I know he's got a double game week, but Casemiro, he's not really the kind of player who gets a lot of goals or assists. So it seems like a bit of a waste of a Man United slot, which is going to be a very, very valuable position this week and going forward, because we may see another double game week in game week 22 for Manchester United. That's kind of being predicted by a lot of people. So I just feel like, you know, Casemiro, a bit of a waste of a Man United slot. Not going to get you that many points. Probably going to get you 4 points across the double game week, which is just not good enough. We can do a little bit better. Mitoma, I think I'm going to put in the optional category. I'm going to put him down here just because I don't feel like he's worth a transfer this week. I really feel like we want to be focusing our energy and our attention on getting those double game week players for this game week. Like, you know, you only have a certain amount of transfers to use. It seems a little bit silly to go for a single game week player. He plays against Liverpool. I think he could do some damage, but certainly not the high amount of damage that some of these other players could be getting, particularly the double game week players. Next up, David De Gea. I kind of don't mind him. I think he is optional. If I was to go for a goalkeeper right now, and he doesn't make the top 30 most popular players, but I would go for Ederson. If I had to go for one goalkeeper right now, it would definitely be Ederson. 2 double game weeks in the space of 4 game weeks, and he's pretty much nailed on. Like, he's not going to be rotated, and he's going to pick up those clean sheet points. Man City, statistically, on the underlying stats, are actually the best defense in the league at the moment. I know they've conceded a couple of goals. Seems like they've been a little bit unfortunate to concede the goals that they have, and I do expect them to go forward, keep more clean sheets. Not expecting too many save points from Ederson, but anyway, we're talking about De Gea. He's an okay option for a goalkeeper. Like, if I had to go for a goalkeeper right now, Ederson would be number 1. I guess De Gea would be number 2, but I don't think I would be making too much effort to get De Gea in my team. You could do it. It's just kind of optional, I guess. Phil Foden next. I feel like he's probably got to go into the avoid category. Yes, he could technically score some points, but Foden is just an absolute nightmare player to own at the moment. He's a player I own. I'm not actually looking to remove him from my team because he's just not nailed on. He's not part of the favoured front 3 at the moment for Manchester City. We're probably going to see Grealish lining up on the left, Mahrez on the right, and Foden. I don't know how he fits in, really. It's not that he's a bad player. It's not that he's in bad form. He's just not preferred by Pep at the moment, and I'm pretty sick of trying to predict Pep and predict when Foden's going to play. Kind of given up on it by this point, so he is going to be an avoid. Cody Gakpo, I think, is an interesting option. Liverpool's attack I really do like, so it could be pretty interesting to see how he gets on. Obviously, he's already started 1 game for Liverpool in the Cup, so let's see if he can now, you know, move forward and maybe get some more attacking returns, maybe. I don't know. It's definitely possible. I don't dislike Gakpo as an option. I still do really like Liverpool's attack, even though I don't like their defence. They play Brighton next, and Brighton have conceded a lot of chances under De Zerbi, so I wouldn't be too surprised if we do see some attacking returns from those Liverpool guys. Next up, Martial, who I don't know if he's available or not. To be honest, I'm hoping to get some more information, you know, with the press conference today. I would definitely say, guys, that if you're going to buy Martial, make sure you keep an eye on the press conference. There has been kind of murmurings that he wasn't quite available for the game a few days ago, but I don't know if that means he's going to be back in time. Some comments have suggested that he is hopefully and likely to be back in time for the Premier League game against Manchester City, but there's no guarantee of that. If he does start, however, he is a player I really do like. So if he's available, I think he could even be a great transfer. But right now, I feel like because of the kind of mystery around his injury status, he's going to be a good transfer. And I should say as well, guys, that I know Weghorst has come into this team, but Weghorst has come in just to play, second fiddle. He is a backup option for Martial. Martial, everything suggests that he is still the main starting striker for Manchester United. He's not at risk of rotation. The only way he is going to get rotated is going to be through fitness-related issues. And as long as he can stay fit, fingers crossed, he's not going to be in too much danger of being removed from this Manchester United team. So he could be very, very good, particularly if we get multiple double game weeks in the upcoming week. So yeah, pretty good option, really. A pretty good option indeed. Next up, Saliba, still going to be an avoid for me. Yeah, I understand the appeal of Arsenal defenders right now, but do you really want to bring him in ahead of Spurs? Spurs is a game which is going to be pretty difficult. Not really feeling this one. And if you are going to go for an Arsenal defender, I still prefer Gabriel, still prefer Ben White. I think they're slightly better options at a slightly cheaper price as well. So yeah, Saliba always manages to find his way into these tier list videos because he is just such a popular player. But you shouldn't be, because there are better options out there, and I wouldn't really be going for Arsenal defenders this week anyway. I would be waiting one more week before bringing in those Arsenal defenders, particularly if we think they're going to get a double game week next game week. If they don't get a double game week in game week 21, then their opposition is Manchester United. So again, do you even want an Arsenal defender for that fixture? Probably not. So therefore, I'm going to have to put him in the avoid category, unfortunately. Botman is actually making the most popular kind of players list for once. He's usually more of a differential. I actually kind of like this one. Out of all of the single game week players, I would be most tempted to go for Newcastle players because they have got an excellent run of fixtures over the next 4. And they're just absolute clean sheet machines at the moment. Botman does very well for bonus points as well. And he's only 4.4 million. So I think he's a great option to go for. If you don't have confidence in, Man City defenders or, maybe Man United defenders or whoever else, you're not really sure what defenders to go for, then Botman is a really obvious answer for you guys. He's just genuinely a really good pick at a really, really good price. Absolutely love him. So yeah, definitely Botman is a player you want to consider. If you don't have Trippier yet, then obviously he is still a must-buy despite the single game week. But I know most of you guys have Trippier already, so we don't really need to talk about that. David Raya here. Do I fancy him? The fixtures are okay. Brentford seem to be improving defensively a little bit, but they are still conceding the odd goal, aren't they? I'm still not 100% convinced by Brentford defensively, even though they are definitely improving, but they're improving from a situation where they were one of the worst defenses in the league. So do I like Raya? Not really. I guess he's an option, but again, De Gea, prefer him. Edison is by far the best goalkeeper transfer at the moment, so it's kind of like, where does Raya come in? And we've actually got a few Brentford players, and I don't think I'll be transferring in any Brentford player right now, but that's mostly because of the double game week. We're talking about a double game week. We want to get double game week players in. That's it's like rule number 1. It's like such an easy decision. And I think Newcastle players, because of their excellent run of fixtures that they've got coming up, are the one exception to that rule. We've got Martinelli up next. I don't think it's a week where you have to bring in Martinelli. You could do. I'm going to put him in like optional again. Just not really the right week for him. I would say that particularly with a game like Tottenham Hotspur, they're a team that concede a lot of chances down the middle, and Martinelli is kind of a slightly more wide player. So there is another couple of Arsenal midfielders in this list who we are going to place, and I think they are going to place all above Martinelli at the moment. So yeah, we're actually going to put Martinelli down in optional, when usually he would be a little bit higher. Just don't think it's the week to go for him. And again, if we have got Manchester United next game week as a single game week, again, is that the kind of fixture you want to own Martinelli for? Yes, I guess you would, but surely there's some better transfers out there. And at the end of the day, the tier list is about ranking transfers, not players. Should you do the transfer for this player in game week 20, because that's where we are? The answer is, I don't know, maybe not. I guess you could, but you don't really have to. Don't really know about that one. Tony is still injured, so should we be going for Tony right now? If he's available, I think he's a good pick, but I don't think he is going to be available, to be honest. So does that make him an avoid? I don't know. Let's put him in optional, but with the caveat that it's if he's fit. If he's fit, he's an option. But again, we prefer to go for double game week players. Let's move on to a double game week player, and that is John Stones, who I think, if he is available, he is going to be a great transfer. If he's not available, well, then obviously he's an avoid. It's really difficult. I would say that longer term, John Stones is probably the most nailed on Man City defender at the moment, which is exactly what we want. So even if he is kind of touch and go for this first game against Manchester United, then going longer term and thinking about next game week where Man City play against Wolves, and in a couple of game weeks time when Man City have the double game week again, John Stones is going to be really, really important for those fixtures. So I still think, even if he misses the first of the double game week and plays the second, still think he could be potentially a good transfer. And if it does turn out he's available for the first game as well, then that's just extra points there as well. So John Stones, I think if you're looking for one particular double game week defender, why not John Stones? Why not John Stones? But again, same situation with Martial. It's dependent on their availability. If these kind of players are available, then they're going to be very, very good picks. If they're not available, then, you know, maybe you get them for the second game of the double. Is that good enough? I don't know. Maybe it genuinely could be, but it's hard to say for certain. Next up, Saka, who I think I'm going to put above Martinelli at the moment. If I had to have one of the two, I would go for Saka. But again, same situation. Spurs and then Man United. Not ideal fixtures, really. So we're going to put him in optional. It's obviously 8.1 million, a little bit more expensive. But at least he is on penalties. And his underlying numbers are pretty good right now. He's in pretty good form, is our Saka. Rodrigo, another player I quite like. I think he's going to do quite well. But again, should we be focusing on double game week players? I actually feel like I could slip Rodrigo up into a good transfer, to be fair, because, you know, he's a good player. He's very cheap. He's playing as a striker for a Leeds team that know how to score goals, and he's got good fixtures as well. There's actually a few bits and pieces to like about Rodrigo, to be fair, so I feel like we could put him in the good transfer category. Ben Mee, don't think I would ever go for him, to be honest. I'm going to put him all the way down here somewhere. Even if I'm going for a Brentford defender, it's going to be Rico Henry. You know, 4.5 million, slightly cheaper. Playing in a slightly more advanced position as well in that left wing back slot, gives him a little bit more opportunity to get attacking returns. Does our good friend Rico Henry. So therefore, I feel like there's not really a place for him, unfortunately. Fabian Schär, good attacking numbers for a defender, for a centre back, but I don't think he's worth it over Botman, but I guess he is still optional, so I'm still going to put him in optional. Botman is my heavy favourite of the two, which is why there's such a difference between the two players in terms of their positioning. But if you really just want to spend the extra money for that tiny little bit extra attacking potential, then fair enough. But typically Botman does better for bonus points as well. So if there's no goals, if there's no attacking returns from Fabian Schär, then there really is no point whatsoever of going for him over Botman. So, yeah, Botman's going to be your guy. He's really your friend here. Mahrez, I've actually done a little bit of a 180. Maybe not quite a 180, more like a 179 on Mahrez, because I do kind of see that he is optional. Would I put him up into a good transfer? I guess I could. He does seem to be fairly nailed on right now, but because of his good form. But at the same time, this is Pep Guardiola. Mahrez is, you know, he's a moment away from getting dropped for no reason. You know, if he farts in the wrong direction, he'll probably get dropped from the team. So it's a really a risky one, particularly longer term. But for a double game week, 2 fixtures, a player in this great form, could he be good? He could be good. He could be good. Am I willing to take that risk, to take that punt? I don't think so. So I'm going to put Mahrez in a good transfer and be done with it. Next up, Miggy Almiron. Good fixture against Fulham. Good opportunities to get some goals there. I guess he's a good transfer. Yeah, pretty good. Not bad, I guess. You know, he's nothing amazing because we've got that single game week and his form has dropped off a little bit since the World Cup. So, yeah, I'm still not super convinced I'd go for him over some of the other players, but he still would be a reasonably good transfer. I guess we have to put him in the same kind of area as Rodrigo, so let's put him there. Perisic, don't really like. Don't think there'll be any clean sheets for Spurs over the double game week, to be honest. But I do feel like he is at least an option because at least he does have 2 fixtures. He does have a little bit of attacking threat, but actually Doherty is actually looking a little bit better at the moment on these numbers, and Doherty is a lot cheaper as well. So if I had to pick one of Perisic and Doherty, I would pick Doherty. But Perisic is probably a little bit more nailed on and probably has the better attacking ability, even though he isn't really making good of it right now, to be honest, because he's not really getting in those attacking positions in the same way as his right wing-back counterpart is, I suppose. So, yeah, let's put him in optional for now. Nick Pope. Do I like him as a goalkeeper pick? Well, I guess so. Like, he's better than, like, Raya, isn't he? Newcastle's still keeping a lot of clean sheets, but again, 2 other goalkeepers I prefer to him. If you're going to make a goalkeeper transfer, and that's not typically something you should do anyway, I feel like you've got to make it count with a really good goalkeeper transfer, like a goalkeeper transfer that really makes the difference, and that's going to be hard to do. And the way to do that is by going for a goalkeeper who has a double game week or multiple double game weeks, as is the case with Ederson and hopefully De Gea as well. So yeah, Pope, as good as the Newcastle defence is, as good as the fixtures are, I do think he could compete with De Gea and Ederson in terms of points, but he is that little bit more expensive. And I think I'd rather trust the other goalkeepers, if I'm perfectly honest. And Bumo, don't really get the hype. His stats are okay, but he's just a bad finisher, really, isn't he? I'm going to put him, I don't know, somewhere around here, I guess. He's kind of like a mid-level optional player. You could go for him if you really wanted to, but at the same time, you know, he's going to do well against teams like Liverpool, and he did do well against Liverpool, where he can play that counter-attacking game. But against those teams that are going to sit back a little bit more, he's going to struggle because, you know, he's more of a kind of getting behind kind of player rather than a you know, tricky get past defenders, make it link up play. He struggles a little bit more with his shooting in those kind of situations. So I think he's not going to be an amazing option, but he is very cheap, so you know, he's an option, I guess. De Bruyne, I actually think he's one of the players I would be most looking to get this game week. I think he is one of the biggest transfer targets of this game week. Again, same situation in terms of looking for those nailed-on players who are going to play 6 fixtures in the next 4 game weeks. That is massive. It's going to be difficult to find at Manchester City. There's only a few nailed-on players, but De Bruyne is one of them. We also know he does very, very well in the big games as well, and Man City have some big games coming up. Obviously, we've got the likes of Man United and Spurs and Arsenal coming up as well. There's some big fixtures here, and De Bruyne is going to be a big part of that. So I'm going to put him in the must-buy category. I think he is improving. I think he's been unlucky not to get more attacking returns than he has so far. He is, in many ways, due attacking returns, I guess. So they're going to come very soon for him. So I feel like, yeah, I like this pick a lot, and particularly if you're thinking about going for threemium teams, if you want to move a Salah to De Bruyne, I like it. Particularly if you can do that move for free, I would be doing that move most likely. If you can, you know, get 3 for like premium players, Haaland, Kane and De Bruyne in your team, I think I would like that as well. So I'm going to put him in must-buy. Odegaard, I think, is somewhere between a good transfer and a great transfer. And like I was kind of saying earlier, Spurs concede a lot of their chances through the centre, and Odegaard can make the most of that because he's more of a central player. He's been in very good form. He's got better kind of numbers right now than Saka and Martinelli, and he is cheaper than both of those players as well, and he's very nailed on, and there's just you know, there's various things to like about Odegaard, so I like him. He's another player who could be getting potentially a couple of double game weeks over the next 4, so that would be pretty nice as well to go for him slightly longer term. The fixtures in the immediate term aren't amazing, so I think that probably maybe drops him below some of these other double game week players who, you know, we know they have a double game week immediately, whereas Odegaard, we know, has some kind of trickier fixtures immediately. But hey, some of you guys might think that Arsenal may go and absolutely trounce Spurs, and if so, Odegaard is going to probably be the main part of that. It's probably going to be the highest scoring Arsenal player in that fixture, I would say. I'd bet that he would be the one to get the points, to be honest. And he, like I say, he's cheaper than the other guys, so I think he's a good transfer. I do think he's a good transfer. It's someone you can definitely go for. Mitrovic, I don't think I would be going for Mitrovic, to be honest. Shall I put him in the avoid category? I guess high tier avoid. Like, I still think Mitrovic is very, very good, but the fixtures for Fulham have just dropped off a cliff. So it kind of seems like there's not too much point in going for him at the moment. Like, you could, but like, I would be looking elsewhere. I prefer many other forwards. I prefer Martial if he's available. I prefer maybe to go for... Actually, I've just realised Martial I've put as a midfielder here. That should say forward. Apologies, guys. I would rather go for Harry Kane. I would rather go for Callum Wilson at Newcastle. I would perhaps rather go for Nketiah. There's a few other forwards I kind of prefer a little bit. You're going to have Haaland no matter what. Mitrovic, I feel like that is kind of a bit of a throwback pick. You know, maybe if you're going to go for Mitrovic now, you're probably a little bit late on that one. So I don't really know why he is such a popular transfer in, because he is literally the 4th most popular transfer in FPL for Game Week 20. Don't really get that one. Maybe one of you guys can explain to me why he is so popular this week. I don't know why. I don't know why, but he is. Let's put Kane in a great transfer. I think he is a really, really interesting transfer for this game week. Double game week this game week. 2 tough fixtures, to be fair, but Harry Kane has got a good record against both Arsenal and Man City, particularly against Arsenal, where I do think I'm going to probably back Kane to score in that Arsenal game, to be fair. You know, much to my own disappointment, but it's probably going to happen. But we've got Fulham up next for Kane as well. So actually, it's not just about this double game week. It's also about next game week, which is very good for Kane as well. Again, going back to the idea of going for 3 premium players, there's never been a better time to go for 3 premium players, in my opinion. Usually I don't like it, but because there's so many bargain players going around at the moment, because we're not spending too much money in our defense at the moment, kind of makes sense that we can use that freed up budget to go for some real heavy hitting, high scoring, elite footballers in our fantasy teams. And Kane is very much part of that category, really. Second highest scoring player in FPL at the moment. That is no joke. That is very, very impressive. So a great transfer. I feel like he's a really good player to have for this game week. And we've got 2 more players, and they are Manchester United players. First of all, Lukey Shaw. He's going to go into the great transfer category. I would say that he is kind of defensive target #1 at the moment. He really is just that good. He's playing very well. Manchester United doing very well defensively at the moment. They've got a double game week now, potential for another one in a couple of weeks' time. Everything is looking very good for Manchester United at the moment. Luke Shaw is picking up a lot of bonus points as well, and if he's playing in that left back position, he's going to have a little bit of creativity as well and get into those dangerous areas where he is shooting, as we saw in Game Week 19 where he got that goal. So fantastic pick. If you have a Cancelo that you want to remove, if you've still got a Reece James in your team that you want to remove, Shaw is going to be one of your main transfer targets. It's going to be kind of Trippier, Shaw. If you already have these guys, at that point we start thinking about Botman, maybe John Stones, maybe Nathan Ake, maybe some of the other defenders on this tier list, although there's not really many others on this tier list in the higher categories, to be fair. So yeah, we don't have a huge amount of options, but we do have a few. We do have a few. And sure, if you don't have them already, definitely going to be one of your priority transfers. And finally, Marcus Rashford. A must-buy. I would probably say he is the #1 must-buy player. In fact, I'm going to put him right at the top of the tier list, above even the likes of Kevin De Bruyne. So, Marcus Rashford is going to be the #1 must-buy player of this tier list. I think you guys have got to get him. I think if you haven't got him already, I think now is the time. Bite the bullet, get the player. He's in such good form at the moment, potentially on penalties as well. Got a double game week. This is it. It's a fantastic opportunity for Rashford. And if you hate Haaland for whatever reason, I would say that Rashford is probably the second best captain to go for in this game week as well. I expect him to do very well against the high lines of the likes of Man City. Decent game against Crystal Palace as the second fixture. He's going to be nailed on for both of those fixtures against the high line of Arsenal after that as well. We know Rashford is a big game player. He does very well against a big team. So can he do it again? I don't see why not. So we're going to stick him as the #1 must buy. And that's going to be the tier list video completed. Definitely, I would say, guys, that in the top 2-3 categories, the likes of Rashford, De Bruyne, Trippier, make sure you got those. Make sure you got Kane and Shaw and Botman. You don't actually absolutely have to get these players, but they're still very good options, and maybe they should be kind of players you're eyeing up as your transfer targets. And Stones, Martial, Mahrez, Odegaard, Rodrigo, Almiron at this level are the kind of players like I would really kind of have a good look at these players. Particularly if there's kind of injury or rotation worry, then consider that before going for them. But they're still very good picks. Obviously, Odegaard, Rodrigo, Almiron on single game weeks that could be okay still. But the likes of Stones, Martial, and Mahrez are still very good players, even if they only play one of the 2 fixtures. So just kind of be aware of that as well. Even if they're not available, I wouldn't let that put you off them entirely, but obviously that is going to factor into your decision making. So that is the end of the tier list video and the end of videos for this game week. We have still got a stream left, but if you wouldn't mind liking the video before you disappear, subscribe if you're new around here, and we're going to be going live at 5 PM UK time. That's 1 hour and a half before the deadline this evening, and hopefully I'll see a few of you guys there, and we can talk about any of the last bits and bobs we haven't spoken about yet. Don't forget to go and check out some of the other videos that I've made this week. I've done my my team video, should I say, yesterday, so go check that out. The 100 experts video is very useful as always, so make sure you go check that out. And we even did a differential video about a week ago, so if you want to go see some differentials, we did that as a tier list as well. Go check that out. So yeah, plenty of stuff on the channel for Game Week 20, but for today, I am done until the deadline stream, which I'll see you there. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, guys, once again, and I'll see you later, mates, in the deadline stream. Bye-bye.